Okay, in this volume we're going to continue the progression that we started in the previous volumes. So what we're going to do is continue with the double stick, and we're going to continue progressions with the single stick and long range and middle range and close quarter, and we're going to use the Espadi Daga as well and the solo Daga. So continuing the progression, what we're going to do in the Sinawali area is show how you add on to variations of what you already have in the Sinawali patterns. So if I can bring Amy out, we're going to start with showing the variations that you can do. So you've had the, in the basic chambered position Sinawali drills, you've had the heaven 6, you've had the standard 6, you've had earth 6, and you had the upward 6. So if we take the basic idea of the highs and the lows and then start combining them, now you can start to get a lot of different variations, and if you take just that alone, you'll wind up with the 64 basic variations within this type of Sinawali drill. So if we take, let's say for instance, instead of going all high, or the high, low, high, we'll start to mix it. So let's say maybe I'll do a low, low, high. So maybe on this side we'll go low, low, high, and then on this side we could do a low, low, high. And then we could do a low, low, high on one side, and then go with a high, high, low on the other side. Or you could start out with a high, high, low, and then go with low, low, high. So this starts to mix it, and you can get the idea on your own to practice at home. We could go with a high, low, high on one side, for instance, which would be like the standard, and we can go all high on this side. Or we can go all lows on this side, and all highs on this side. Or for instance, you could go all lows on this side again, and then go with the standard pattern on the left side. So when you start to mix all these, you'll wind up with 64 variations, and then of course that grows to a lot of other variations that if you start putting different prefixes in, different patterns, different chambering, and then you're going to wind up with a lot of different drills to practice. So just to review on your own, you can start to mix the low and the high on any numbers, and on the left and right sides combining them to get the 64 combinations. Okay, next on continuing the progression, now we're going to start to incorporate the footwork which we talked about before, where you should advance, retreat, move laterally, a circular motion, moving clockwise and counterclockwise. So in slow motion, we don't have a lot of room to maneuver here for the camera, but in reality you could really run these in further distances. So what we'll start with is this basic heaven 6 pattern, and just advance and retreat a little bit. So you would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He comes back. So you're going to advance and retreat. Okay. Another way to do it would be to do a circular or clockwise or counterclockwise. So as you're moving, this would be going in a clockwise motion. And then you can go counterclockwise. And again, you can use any of the patterns. For the purpose of the video, we're using the heaven 6 pattern. Okay, now you could have one person in the, using the clockwise counterclockwise principle. One person could be in the center, and so Amy's not going to circle. She's just going to move with me like the hub of a wheel, and I could circle around from the outside. So all she's doing is adjusting to my motion. If I start circling this way, okay, another pattern you can follow is a female triangle. So for both like this, we can do 6 going to the right, 6 going to the left. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Step the other side. Step to the right, step to the left. So you can do it on a triangular pattern. Another way to do this is lateral motion. So if we're here, we're going to move laterally. So you're going to back this here. So we're going to move in a lateral position. And that's also called Khalid Khalid. So we're moving laterally. It's almost like you're trying to get by the person. So when you're doing that, you combine the Sinawali patterns that you have and then combine it with the different footwork patterns. And there's still others and environmental types of things as well. So you'll start to have a lot of material to work on. Okay, the next drill we're going to do in the double stick is the abanico 6. So in the abanico, what we're going to do is a fan type of motion. So when you go like this, it's going to be, first of all, let me just do the abanico. When you're like this would be an abanico motion. Then you have it on a diagonal or on the adlau line. Then you have it on the bulan line. And then you have it on the earth line or duta line. So when you're going like this would be an abanico or fan type of motion. So what we do is we prefix the pattern that we've been doing with the abanico. So if we go like this, it'd be 1, 2, 3, backhand, backhand, 1, 2, 3. So if we stay on a high line, it's 3 hits high with the abanico and 2 backhand. So 1, 2, 3, backhand, backhand, 1, 2, 3, backhand, backhand. Then we take it and put it on a diagonal line or adlau or sun line. So it goes 1, 2, 3, backhand, backhand, 1, 2, 3. And again, 1, 2, 3 on the sun line, bulan line. It's like this. So what you're doing is this could be hitting the temple, this could be hitting the knee, it could be hitting the temple, hitting the elbow, hitting the temple, hitting the hip. It could go all the way to the ankle if you went up and down. So this motion, or if you're here, obviously it's hitting the head or the hand if it gets in the way. Okay, so again, first you have the high, backhand, backhand, slow motion. Then on the diagonal, another diagonal. And then the diagonal the opposite way. So you start on a low, high, low. And now low, high, low. And then it can be all low. Now for this, you have to tilt it out so you don't hit each other's hands. So when you're pointing towards the earth, you have to tilt it out a little bit. And then come back. So this one would be as if the guy was thrusting or something like that, and you want back like that on the hand. You go like that, I'm hitting your hand this direction. Okay, so that would be the abanico going on the low line. Okay, so again, up here you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, high, low, high, high, low, high, low, high, low, low, high, low, and then all low. Okay, so that would be the abanico incorporated with the 6 count. Okay, the next Sinawali drill or coordination drill that we're going to be doing is comes from a Lacoste, and it's Lacoste 8 count. So if Jeff comes out, we're going to start with this one. So on Lacoste 8 count, it's going to be a different pattern now. So you're chambered under, but you're going to do 2 blows. So you go high, low, high, high. So high, low, then high backhand, high backhand. That's the first part. 1, 2, high backhand, 1, 2. So it's high, low, high backhand, high, low, high backhand, high backhand. Then you start to mix that 1, 2, then you go high, low. So this prefix stays the same. So this part stays the same, and then you start to change the second part. And then the last way you do it is all low on the second part, low, low. So to review again, you have a high and a low. That's the prefix on the right. Then 2 backhand, high. Then high, low with the backhand, backhand. Then prefix, and then this time we go high, low on the prefix, high, low on the second part. Prefix, high, low, we switch it to a low, high, low, we switch it to a low, high, then high, low, we have a low, low, high, low, we have a low, low. So on this, again, the whole thing, this would be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, prefix with the high, low, then high, high, prefix with the high, low, high, high. Then the second parts of that change to the high, low, to the low, high, and to the low, low. That would be Lacoste 8 count. Okay, then we're going to move into the Lacoste 10 count. So this one, you start with a cob, cob, or pie, pie, as we did in the other volume. So you just start with 2 blows, so you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's 2 hits, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have 10 blows total. So that's Lacoste 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the Lacoste 10 count. Now we move to the Lacoste 12 count. So on this one, you go 1, 2, you do a redondo that misses, like an abanico with tick, come back with 2 backhands. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 6 on one side, 6 on the other, gives you your 12 count. So it's a cob, cob, pie, pie. Come down with a circular strike, come up with a witik, backhand, backhand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would be the Lacoste 12 count drill. Then moving into another part, we're going to go into the Villabraille 8 count. Now Villabraille 8 count is a little bit different again. So on this drill, you're going to start with a backhand. So on the Villabraille 8, we start with a high backhand. So you're wiping a sort of a wiping motion on a high backhand. And then you come back with an inward. This time you're chambered on top of your shoulder as opposed to under. So again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Starts again, wipe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wipe. So that's 1, 2, pull through blow. Okay, then you have 3 with ticks. With tick, with tick, with tick. Then lob tick, lob tick, lob tick. Backhand, inward, forehand, backhand, forehand, low backhand, low forehand, come back and start again. This would be the Villabraille 8 count. So one more time, we'll just do it. So it's here. Okay, next we're going to go back to the abecedario. Now we're going to be doing it with the double stick again, but this time it's going to be double sticks, feeding double sticks. In the previous volumes, what we did was this double stick with the single stick feeding, so now this is going to be the double stick feeding, the double stick. So we're going to go through the numbers. I'm going to use the Illustrisimo numbering system. I'll feed Amy, so it's going to go 1. You feed with the left hand 2, feed with the right hand 3, left hand 4, right hand 5, left hand 6, right hand 7, and left hand 8. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that would be receiving with the open and closed gunting area, or the scissors going from the open position to the closed position. Now, Amy's going to feed me the same thing, but this time I'm going to receive and go with the open position on each time. So in other words, when I receive, I'm going to open and hit, open and hit, open and hit, open. So each time I'm using the open position as opposed to the closed. This way you get practice on doing the gunting both ways, so the open and closed positions, and you'll be able to receive the left hand with the open and closed. So again, you're here, this would be open, open again, open again, open here, here. Okay, now she'll feed me and I'll go with the open and closed position. So it's 1, 2. So this time I close it, open it, close to open to closed, close to open to closed position, and close to open on that side. Okay, moving on to the single stick and long range again. Now we're going to go into some other follow-ups that we didn't cover yet on the earlier volumes. So what we're going to do now is start with the backhand again. So we started with the principle of meet the force, and then we had to follow the force on this side, and then we had the backhand. So we're going to go back to starting with the backhand, but the follow-ups now you're going to start to increase the difficulty, we'll call it, on the follow-up. So the first one, what you're going to do is you're going to do a double redondo or circular blow. So you're going to go 1, 2 as a follow-up. So first one will be, he'll feed the numbers, so he goes 1, you go 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. So it's a double circular blow is your follow-up to this. So again, it's 1, 2. So you go 1 to, you can have the guy feed 1 to 8, and again, or 12, and follow up with the double circular blow in slow motion. You backhand it, and then you make a double circle. Backhand it, make a double circle. Backhand, double circle. Now that blow could be hitting his hand again, or hitting the other hand, or hitting his head, or both. So when it goes here, see, that could be his elbow, if it's in the way, his head. So you're following up, hitting that circular blow this direction. Now you're going to make the X. So after you backhand, you're going to make the X first, and then the circular blow. So you come back, you make an X and a circular blow. So it's downward X, and then circular blow. You go downward X, circular blow. Downward X, circular blow. Downward X, circular blow. So that would be another pattern that you can follow up with. One after that, now we're going to reverse it. So we're going to go with the redondo and then the downward X. So after you hit here, you can make the redondo and then the X. So the redondo and then the X, make a redondo and then the X, make a redondo, and then follow up with the X. So that would be another pattern. Another one you can do is do the double redondo with the X. So when you're coming here, you can do the backhand and then make a double redondo and then make an X. So if you hit here, you double the redondo and follow with the X last. So it's double redondo, X, hit here, double redondo, X, double redondo, X. So it would be another pattern that you can follow up with. Okay, next we're going to still work on the same principle of the long range and the largo and the follow-ups. So we just did the backhand and the follow-ups. Now we're going to do the forehand and the follow-ups. So on the forehand side, it's basically going to be the same idea. So after you forehand the blow, you can do a redondo, or you can do an X, or you can do a double. You could do a double redondo, or you can do an X and a redondo, and X. So when you're here, he hits the blow, you're going to hit the forehand to it, and then redondo. He does the second blow, you hit the forehand, redondo, forehand, redondo, forehand, redondo, forehand, redondo, forehand, redondo, forehand. So each one you're hitting or doing the forehand and then the redondo blow, circular blow on this side of your body now. Then you do the same principle, except this time you make an X. So you make an X, forehand, make an X, forehand, make an X, forehand, make an X. So it's important when you do the X that you pull it back to the forehand side for the drill, so that after you hit, you bounce it and come back to the forehand side. So bounce, come back to the forehand side, bounce, back to the forehand side on the X. Now you can do the redondo with the X. So you hit, redondo, make an X. Forehand, redondo, make the 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 X. Now you can go X to the redondo. So you forehand, make the X, and redondo. Forehand, make the X, 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 redondo. Slow motion. X, redondo. X, redondo. And again, these would be follow-up blows that you would be going in to hit the head or the hands, whichever is exposed, or a follow-up to the weapon hand if he came in with it again. So when you're going like that, see, that can be hitting with the redondo here, or if you went like this, that could be the X. You exit back, follow up with the redondo. So these would be the follow-up combinations, some of the possibilities. Okay, moving back to the middle range with the stick, we're going to go into the some other variations of the contra sombrata cycles. So on this one, we're going to add to what we've already done on some of the other videos. So what we're going to be doing on this case is we're going to start to pass through the sector 5. So again, on the stick sectors, we have sector 1, sector 2, sector 3, sector 4, and this is sector 5 under here. So later when you go into disarms, these sectors become even more important. But right now, your hand is going to pass through this sector. So if Amy does a roof block and comes in this way, when she hits an angle 1, I'm going to pass through sector 5, and then she does an outside deflection. So it's roof block, going back to the cycle, and outside deflection. So roof block, hitting on sector 5, and coming back. So you have on this one, the hand passes here. It can be an outside deflection, roof block. It's like an inside deflection with a sector 5 hand position, and then coming back. So this is what you're going to be doing. So we had the other boxes where you had the drop stick deflection, the low wing deflection, and now we're going to stay on the high line, but passing the hand through that sector 5, just to review. So it's here, pass out. Now if your stick is this way, you can do the shield again. But usually right now you're going to do it with the outside deflection for the angle 2. And when again, this would be, when I say angle 2, would be the Inosanto Lacoste blend of the angle 2 numbering system. So it's this way. So 1, 1, 2. So if it's here, angle 1, angle 1, angle 2. So it's here, sector 5 pass, angle 2, roof block, sector 5 pass, back. The next one you're going to do is off the angle 3. So it's the same principle, but when you go like this, she passes it and does the gunting on the 3 and comes back out. So it's angle 1, angle 3, here. So angle 3, angle 2. She's hitting me right here with an angle 3. I'm doing the gunting. I'm returning an angle 2. So it's an angle 1. I give the angle 3. She gives the angle 2 because it's counter to counter. Angle 1. She feeds a 3. I come back with a 2. Okay, so this would be the next part of the cycle when you're moving this way. Okay, then you can do it also with the angle 5. So when you substitute the 5. So it's roof block. I thrust the 5. She does the gunting, comes back with the angle 2. So it's 1, gunting, come back. So it's 1, pass the 5, come back with the angle 2. Over and back. So it's hit the 5, come back, hit the 5, come back, the 5, Then next after that, we're going to go to the angle 7. So it's an angle 7 thrust, and then comes back with 2. You pass the 7, come back, pass the 7, come back, pass the 7, come back, 7 thrust, 7 thrust, and then you go back, and then you can start to mix it. So it can be, if she gives a 1, I go like that. If I give it 3, she has to deal with it. If she gives it 3, maybe I'll give it 7 next time, and she gives a 7, excuse me, I give a 7. She gives another line, a 3, be a 5. Okay, the next drill is what most people who practice the art or have been exposed to the art through seminars and so on and so forth would be called the Sombrata pattern. And again, using the term Sombrata for the contra Sombrata or counter to counter, one person is hitting the other and the other person comes back with a blow. So it's important to remember that ultimately you're not going to follow any patterns in this, and we're staying in middle range right now. But you're not going to follow any patterns. But to start with, just to get yourself familiar with the angles, how to move your body, the blocks, and then, of course, with the footwork as well, environmental training, it's important to start with some pattern, and then you can, of course, break out of the pattern. So right now we're going to go into the basic 5-count Sombrata. So that's going to be where he hits an angle 1, I roof block. It's similar to what we were doing, inside deflection, drop stick, and then I thrust the 5, and then he comes up with a 2 and I shield. So it's here, 1 angle, angle 1, come back with an angle 4. He thrusts a 5 angle. I do a low wing. He does the shield. And then he comes back with the 1. I roof block this time. This is number 2 blow, 3 blows, 4 blows, 5. His turn. 1 with the roof block, 2, 3, 4, 5. My turn to start with the roof block. When I say my turn, his turn, meaning that starting with the roof block, but we're going counter to counter. So this would be the basic pattern that you want to learn. So you have a roof block, an inside deflection, a drop stick deflection. Again, the drop stick, your hand can be under, or the hand can be on top. You're going to follow up with a straight thrust. He does a low wing, then you shield, and come back. Now I'm using a low wing, which you already have. So if you go low wing, we did that in some of the other patterns. And you can still thrust back with the 5 to stay in the pattern. Or you can come back again with the drop sticks. So drop stick is the original way. Drop stick and a drop stick to the thrust. So that would be the basic 5-count Sombrata pattern that we're using. Okay, next we're going to move back into the Punya Sombrata and now also into the Higat Hubadlu Bud. So what we're going to show first is you have the Punya Sombrata pattern from the previous videos. Now we're going to show how you can break up from Punya Sombrata into Higat Hubadlu Bud and back to Punya Sombrata. So let's say we're following the basic Punya Sombrata pattern with the 3, and you come up with the Punyo and you come back like this. Now if you go from here and I want to come up into the Higat Hubadlu Bud, you just fold up into that position, and then we're going to come back down into it this way. So again, in slow motion, where you're going like this. when I catch it here, rather than inserting the hand, you're just going to hook this hand over and come back with the puño. And this brings you back into the higad hubad lubad. So you're coming up, back to this pattern, 1 for 1 we're using now. Angle 1 to angle 1. Now you take that angle 1, you fold the arm like this, and this would represent obviously a hit on the hand. And then you come back, and now you're in the puño sombrada pattern. Then again you fold up. And then we go back down into the pattern, the puño sombrada pattern. And of course this can still be done whether he comes back and let's say I thrust, still the same principle, thrust, and angle 1 on the puño sombrada, it comes up, angle 1. And then when it feels right and you want to flow back up, you just hook back, come into the higad hubad lubad. Now out of the higad hubad lubad, we're going to be doing a couple different drills. So you have, if you're in this, we had the 1, angle 1 to angle 1. Now if you come in and I want to feed the low line, he hits the 1, I hit the 4, he hits the 1. So that's angle 1 to angle 4, angle 1. 1, 4, 1, switch it over. 1, 4, 1, switch it over. 1, 4, 1, switch. 1, 4, 1, switch. 1, 4, 1, switch. So we have, he hits the 1, I come back with a 4 to the ribs, he comes back with a 1. We switch it over, I hit the 1, he hits the 4. When you defend the 4, put the palm up this way. Come back with the 1. Switch it over, 1, 4, 1. 1, 4, 1. Okay, the next one we're going to do is angle 2 to 2. So when we're up like this, we're going to hit the puño on angle 2. So if I come up and I start to switch, I hit puño 2, he comes up puño 2, and then I can come back and hit the 1. So again, it's going to go like this. It goes puño 2, come back with the 1. There's other variations that you can do from here, but for now, this is the one to work. So we had the 1, 4, 1, switch, 1, 4, 1, switch. Back to the normal pattern. Now I'm going to take it here, slap the arm, hit the puño. Now it's important when he comes up through the middle of his arm. If he tries to come around the outside, he's going to get jammed. So he comes up through the middle, then I'm going to swing out. When I swing out, of course, that represents hitting his body, and then I come back with the puño on this side. So what you're doing is playing in this range. You play this game. So you go like this, and then you go back into puño sombrada. And then when you feel like it, you come up to here, and if I feel like I go 2 to 2, we come out like this, we swing. Then all of a sudden, if you want, you just go like that, 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1, you switch around. So you just play around with this drill. The other variation we want to put on here in this video is with the hitting with the olisi. So we'll use a soft stick for safety. And what you're going to do with your partner is when you're coming up, I'm going to hit the shoulders representing hitting the head. And he's going to do a witik like this to the waist. So it's going under here. So one person goes up high, he hits low, I hit low, he hits high. So you can play this game so you start getting used to hitting with the olisi while you're in close quarters. So one person takes care of the high line, so you can go right to left. Or when you're coming up like this, you can go on this side to this side. So you can start to this side or you can start on this side. But again, you're representing obviously hitting the head. When you come to the low line, you witik or hit the waist this way or the back. And then you switch and you can hit the top line, hit the low line. This will give you coordination when you start moving inside and sparring with the sticks on the inside range. So on the inside range, you want to be able to use the olisi as well as the puño on the weapon. So you don't want to just depend on the puño when you're in close. Obviously, you can still use the end of the stick to use the blows as well for the inside sparring. So that's another drill for you to do. Again, you're going to come up. You can witik to this side, and he can witik the waist, and back and forth and play at this game. And then you can go back to 2 to 2, and then come back out so you can start to put variations into what you've already learned. Okay, next we're going to go back to the long and short weapon. More specifically, we're going to use the stick and dagger, or Olisi and Daga. And what we're going to be doing is going back to the box pattern, showing how you can also do it with the Olisi Daga to relate the weapons so that you can see the principles that you're using always relate to the different weaponry. And there's a lot of other things we could do to show how you relate all these different weapons together, but the limited time on the video, we're going to have to limit some of the stuff that we show. So we're going to basically show you the principles here with the patterns that we were doing in the, just previously with the different cycles, the contra sembrata cycles, for instance. So if we were doing some of those with the drop stick and so on and so forth, when you're coming in here, when you use the dagger with the Olisi, one is that you can, obviously the stick can always hit the hand, we've talked about that, but the dagger can also cut to the hand. When you're doing a roof block, for instance, you could go to the hand or you can go to the arm. Or let's say you're doing inside deflection, this could go all the way to the body. So the dagger can go anywhere along the limb or into the body when you're doing the block. So if we're doing the basic number one, and then number one, and then the drop stick, and when you go into the drop stick, see the dagger could be thrust to the body, this would be one way, or it could be under and goes into the body this direction. So it can be over or under the arm when you're doing that drop stick deflection. So if we start again, you have the roof block, and for the purpose of the drill, we just tap the stick this way. So you use the dagger, this coordinates the other hand with the dagger, again, so it gives you a little bit different feel using that on the stick. Right now what we're doing is going into the 5-count sembrata cycle. So whether you're doing the 5-count, roof block, inside deflection, drop stick, thrust to 5, come up, or let's say that we went back into the other ones that we were doing. For instance, the one where you pass the sector 5. So if I do a roof block, she does a sector 5, gunting, comes back out, so we're here, sector 5. So now you just substitute the dagger, cutting the hand, as opposed to the empty hand checking it. Or let's say we're doing the one with the 3. So if she feeds the 3, you pass it the same way, just that you have the dagger in your hand when you're doing it. Or if I come back with a 5. So it's a 5, the 5. Now if I give the 7, she does the gunting here, outside deflection, and come back. 7, outside deflection, come back. So whether we do the full sembrata cycle, in other words 5 angles, and again these are patterns, but the patterns are always meant to be broken. It's just that you start in here, going counter to counter. So this will coordinate the dagger a little bit with it. So again, keep in mind to review that when you're doing these, that you want to go into the hand, or you want to think about cutting the arm, or you can think about going all the way into the body when you're using the daga for this purpose. Okay, in this next part, we're going to show a few of the tie-ups with the Olisi Daga. So on this, we're just going to show how you engage in closer quarters and how some of the trapping with the weapons or the tie-up positions will work with the weaponry, with the long and short. So if I bring Jeff out here, the first one we're going to do is a snake and bridge. So you're coming across here and you're trying to dislodge this weapon, and of course, again, this would have to be a stick if you tried to disarm a blade this way. If you had the blade, we both had blades, long blades and short blades, you basically wouldn't try so much for the disarms and the tie-up positions. You're better off with the slashing and the thrusting motions and not trying to find the disarm. And normally you don't try to find disarms anyway. They almost have to happen out of flow. If you try too hard, you're going to miss it. So when we come in here and I go into a snake and bridge, so I'm snaking, I'm trying to disarm this like a snake disarm, and then he comes back with the dagger on a low thrust. I'm going to cover and thrust on this. Okay, so this actually should be a disarm to his daga because I'm punching this into his body. I'm hammering the wrist here. But we're going to, even if it does or doesn't come out, you're going to slip this in. You can thrust the dagger in a low line, and then you're going to come up and use this, let his daga fall into the crook of your arm, and then you're going to slash, and then you can thrust this like a spear. Or if you don't thrust it like a spear, you can hold the dagger here and thrust the stick up. So that's the first two. So you can go with this, as we say, with a pull cue action, or hold this and thrust it like a spear, holding it together. This time, again, in all the shots you have to think about that are in here, moving on the way, you come out, you hammer down, bend the elbow up, smack the dagger out, hook this under. Of course, the dagger could still be in here, and then kick this back into a sweeping position, and you can go for the takedown here. Okay, so that would be another option. One more time, slash, come up, hammer down, bend the elbow up, and then this would just smack to the hand, insert, slide it under. This could be even under here on the way. Turn the body into the sweeping position. It's not the only follow-up, but it's a one to start with for your basic curriculum. Okay, another one that you can do is when you go like this, you snake and bridge, and then he comes in, that's your disarm, so he drops that here. Now you come up, you join the stick together with the dagger at this point, so you have a wrist throw. So if you're like this, now you can bring it down like this and bring it into a wrist throw, and then obviously from here you can disarm the weapon, and you're in good shape for bargaining, or you can go to further locks from here. But more of the locks and the throws and that type of thing we're going to be on the one of the other volumes of the video that we're doing. Right now we just want to show some of the basics here. So when you come out, slash and thrust, disarm the daga here, come up, grab your stick, you're pinching it between your wrist bone and the stick, and now you're just going to drop your body, and for the purpose of video I'm going to go slow and easy. You drop your body and then turn his body with the wrist. If you can see this, the wrist is tied up. And then this can come out. You can get rid of the stick or hold it. And then if the arm is straight like this, you're in position, obviously, to talk to the guy. Or if you came down and put your foot here, now you can go into other positions for locking or controlling the person if you're down in these positions. Okay, so that would be one of the throws that you can go to from the disarm. Okay, another one that's similar is when you go like this, comes up, you hammer down, that's the disarm. This time it's almost the same except you use the neck. So the daga can go into the side, and the stick is in front, or the olisi. And if you take this, step on the foot, and turn his body down this way, which I'll turn a little bit more for the angle of the camera, and you're coming down, this can disarm here. You can keep this or switch the dagger as you insert this way and then control from this position. Okay, so that would be one follow-up. Again, the importance right now is the concentration on the first part of the drill, but this gives you ideas of some of the stuff that you can do from there. So that's the disarm. Come up, insert the olisi and the daga here. You can step on the foot. I'm going to turn him more for the camera angle. Spin around this way. Kick this in. His stick comes out. You can keep the pressure on the arm this way as you slide in. And then this would be controlling the lock this way. You can just keep this as a way to control him in this position. Okay, so this would be some of the ways in which you can show the close quarter locking or tying up with the spadi daga. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go back to the Higat, Hubad, Lubad drills, and we're going to be using the Daga. So solo Daga versus solo Daga with this drill. And again, this drill is made for sort of the sensitivity or tactile response and the reactions to the lines. Because to do disarming or to have any type of chance of disarming, you have to have the reactions built into the body before you can even think about the disarming. So again, we're just first going to use the dagger in this position, and then we can use the dagger in this position. So you have a sock grip or a pakal grip or a hammer grip and an ice pick grip. So from here, we're going to start in a basic position, and we're going to go right back to the same drill we were doing with the single olisi or single bastan, solo bastan. So when you come back like this, it's going angle 1 to angle 1. So angle 1 to angle 1. So in here, you're just defending this angle back. So when you're going like this, you can go for an angle 1, an angle 4, and then an angle 1. Then you switch over. 1, 4, 1. 1, 4, 1. Now you go back to the 2 for 2 afterwards. So when we go like this, and I come out, if I hit an angle 2 and punch it this way, she comes through the middle with an angle 2, and then I come back with the angle 1. So it's here. Okay, then if you decide to break out here, now you have just to parry the 1, and then you can block the 1, then you can parry the 1, and then you can go to the angle 2 a couple times like this, then come back in to the angle 1, and then go back into the 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1. And from here, you're going to start to build off of this and develop more drills as we go on with the other videos. Also, obviously, you can do this with the dagger in this position. So the same idea. So if you're coming here, we just start to develop it this way. And then if you give the 1, 4, 1, you would be thrusting like this. 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1. If you break out, same idea. Parry, 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 block, 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 parry, parry, back to the regular part of the drill. Then go back into the 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1. So again, this is something that's important to start to develop in the basics to reactions for the dagger. Okay, the next drill we're going to be showing is called the Palasut drill, and that's another reaction drill to help build up the response in the body to the different lines of attack. And so this also blends nicely together with Higat, Hubad, Lubad. And what it will be is your partner will have a different grip than you have. So you may have you might have this grip, ice pick grip, and he might have a sock grip, or you might have the pakal grip and he has a sock grip, or vice versa. And so when we start that, before we bring Jeff out, I want to show just the 5 basic things that you can do with the dagger, which we haven't talked about. Is with a dagger, you have the ability to slash, you have the ability to thrust, you have the ability to use the butt end of the dagger for hitting, and you can hack with the dagger using it like a chopping motion, and then you have the tearing motion with the dagger. So this would be like if you're tearing it this way. So you have a thrust which can be deep or short thrust. You have slashing actions. You have a hacking action. And you have the butt end. And then you have the tearing action with the dagger. They're the 5 basic things that you can do with the dagger. Okay, so if you're starting out with this drill, with the Palasut drill, Jeff can thrust the line, and he's going to thrust on the left side of my body. I'm going to scoop it, and then when I come back, I'm going to go towards the kidney. He's going to stop that shot. So if he didn't stop it, what would happen is you'd be moving like this, smacking, and you would go into the back part of the body here, or the kidney area. So when I scoop, I'm going to come out, I check the arm, I go towards the kidney. He stops that shot. Then he's thrusting towards my throat, you slash up, and then you bring it down, and he parries the blow that you're coming with, and then you're going to come out. Okay, this is the first flow. So it's 1, 2, come out, back again. So real slow. Scoop it, I tap, I'm going towards the kidney area, He stops it. He wants to thrust high. So when he thrusts high, I stop it here and slash up, come back, parry. He parries the angle 1, and check out. So 1, back. Now he can also thrust different lines. So he can thrust the high line. He can thrust a little bit straighter, like an angle 5 coming back. So when we're doing this, you can keep changing this line. I can also change my lines. Sometimes I go overhand like this and scoop out. So according to what happens, we can change the angles of attack. So let's say, for instance, if he comes here, instead of going to the kidney here, I can come with a downward blow this way, right away, and come out. Or I can go to the far side over here. He can block. I can scoop, slash, and come back. Or I can give a high backhand. So go here, and then he slashes up, and then we come out from this direction. So if I go here, then he comes out rather than on the low line. So this would be the low line, and come back. So slow motion again. 1, tap, thrust, slash, and back out. From here, obviously now I would have to switch grips and do the same thing, so he would get practice on this side as well. So now we're using it, and he's getting the same drilling that I was just getting on this side. And then from this position, say we go back to the original position, you're going like this. Now we can go back up into higat hubad lubad. So you can go into the drill this way, and you can keep rolling back and forth, put your variations in. And then when you feel like it, he can thrust me, pull out, and then we start back to this drill. So if he starts back here, and we go back, and then he comes back up, and then we go back to higat hubad lubad. So you could both have the sock grip. So even if I'm in this position and Jeff decides and he's going to pull out and thrust, and we go into the palasut, see now I can scoop and still, as opposed to having the pakal position, I can have the sock position, and we do the same exact drill and slash out. So you're scooping with the butt end, but then you slash and you still thrust the same. It just changes the drill a little bit. And then from here, of course, you can go back up into the higat hubad lubad this way, and still put your variations in with the thrust low, or go out to the parry as we talked about, and then go back to twos and come back in. So this starts to give you a little bit more reaction and flows to do. So, and then you could always obviously have the other grip that we talked about, and then he can go back into the drill again with the thrust, and then go into your variations from here. So that gives you a good basis to start with as far as the flow drills with the daga. And as we go along, of course, we'll develop these even further in the other videos. And you just have to pick up, and we're trying to stay in the pattern as opposed to breaking the pattern, but basically that's the idea.
Sorry, I screwed you up.
Moving from there, we're going to go back into the puño sombrada area. So when we're doing the puño sombrada, we're going to flow, cut. So I forgot what I wanted to bring out on that.
I know that's up on my shirt.
Insert. You go under your stick. First time I said over. I better go back to that. That would make me say over. Cut that one. And 1, 4, 1. 1, 4, 1. What are you doing?
Good. Okay, but you were laughing, so let's do it again.
Now I can do it the same drill, but going time. Huh? No, but it was too distracting. All of a sudden I thought the sky was falling. It comes down, you scoop it the same way that you did. This is not going to work. It's not going to work. I can tell you're ready to go anytime. Just like burping, the laughs up. I hear like